This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Perek Yud. Rabbi say good morning. Perek Yud, Pasuk Aleph. B'shnas sholosh l'Koresh melech Paras. In the third year of Koresh, the king of Paras. We're talking about the king Koresh over here, who gave permission to rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash, which occurred 18 years before they actually built it. And Daniel had a vision. Davar nigla le Daniel. The matter was revealed to Daniel. Asher nikra shmai Belshazzar, who was called Belshazzar. He was known as Belshazzar. And Daniel was told, Ve'emes hadavar. Ve'emes hadavar. Ve'emes hadavar means the matter is true. V'tzava gadol. And it will occur in a long time. It will take place in a long time. Uvines hadavar. This revelation was given to Daniel to understand the matter. Uvino loy bamara. And in order to be able to understand it in the vision. Now what is this talking about? Daniel is given a vision of the impending future. This was happening in the third year of the rule of Koresh. And Daniel has a nevuah, a hisgalus. And the malach who is speaking to Daniel is telling him that what I'm telling you is true. Don't question it. Okay. Now look at Pasuk Beis. Bayom Elohim, in those days.
What makes Daniel not a Navi?
What makes him not a Navi was the fact that he wasn't a Navi. In other words, he's not a Navi. We're going to discuss that in a few psukim ahead. Do we have any indication either way whether Daniel was a Navi or was not a Navi? But the fact that he had a vision doesn't necessarily render him a Navi. He could have had Ruach HaKodesh. Many people had Ruach HaKodesh. But whether Daniel was a Navi or not, we're about to see. We are going to see in this parak. Okay. Vayim in those days, Ani Daniel Hayisi Misabel. I Daniel, I was mourning. Shloisha Shavuim Yamim. For 3 weeks of days. Now, what is this referring to? Rashi says, so far whenever we had the concept of a week meant
7 days.
7 years.
7 years. In Daniel so far, a week refers to 7 years. So 3 weeks would be referring to how many years? 21 years. So Rashi says this refers to 21 years. 18 years from the first year of Daryavesh, which Rashi says Mishana Achas Daryavesh, the first year of Daryavesh, Hamadai, Asher Samel Liboy, that he thought to his heart, Lachshav Ayin Shnei Hagoyla, Kamosha Kasov Ad Shnas Shtayim LeDaryavesh HaParsi Ben Esther Shabana Habayis. Now, what happened to the additional 3 years? Because we know that 18 years before the Beis HaMikdash was built, Koresh gave Rishus for it to be built until it was interrupted. And Rashi says, "V'gimel shanim ha'yiseirim le'yadati ifneim hischol l'sanois." I don't know if Daniel fasted 3 years before the 18 years from which Koresh gave Rishus, meshech kabbalas neder tanisav gimel shanim la'achar habinin, or whether his neder fasting for 21 years continued 3 years after the Beis HaMikdash was built already. So very interesting. 18 years before the Beis HaMikdash was built, Koresh gave permission for it to be built. Now this pasuk is saying that Daniel fasted for 21 years. So I could understand if he fasted from the time that Rishus was given for it to be built until it was built. I understand why he fasted. But we have another 3 years of his fast that we don't know how to account for. Did he fast 3 years?
Besides the 21?
No, besides the 18, how do we reconcile the 21? Did the 3 years begin 3 years earlier than the time Koresh gave permission for it to be built? Or did the 3 years go into the time that the Beis HaMikdash stood? And the question would be, if the Beis HaMikdash was standing, what's he fasting for? What's the point of fasting?
And what do they mean by fasting? He doesn't eat during
Ramadan.
the day, or what?
Ramadan.
Well, simply put, he didn't eat during the day. So that's a long time to fast. Imagine Daniel fasted 21 years consecutively. He only ate during the evening.
So there was a tzaddik that fasted 40 years. What was his name?
Yeah, but that tzaddik, you never heard of his name, and this is Daniel.
No. No. Well, one of the gedolim before the
Tzaddik in
the Second World War. He fasted 40 years. I forget his name.
Tzaddik.
No, not for
Years or days.
Okay, so the Rashi learns that the the 3 weeks of days refer to years. So in that explanation of Rashi, the question is, when do you count for the other 3 years? Before the 18 or after 18? Why Daniel would fast once the Beis Hamikdash was built? Well, you could say he made a neder. If he made a neder, he has to keep it regardless. But it's interesting, in fact, once the second Beis Hamikdash was built, let's say on Tisha B'Av, the Klal Yisrael used to fast Tisha B'Av in the times of the second Beis Hamikdash. So the Rambam in the Parsha Mishnayos, Masechta Rosh Hashanah, says they did fast on Tisha B'Av, even in the times of the second Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because things weren't the same. Things were missing, right? Hashem says, "Be'ertzaba, ve'ichabed." It's missing a hey. There were 5 things the Gemara in Yuma says were missing in the Bayis Sheni that weren't in the Bayis Rishon. There was no Eish, there were no Urim V'Tumim, there was no Aron, there was no Shechina, there's no Ruach HaKodesh, there's no Shemen HaMishcha, there's no Tzintzenes Hamon, there's no Matah Shel Aron. They were missing a lot of things. So therefore they used to fast Tisha B'Av even when the second Beis Hamikdash stood. In fact, we mentioned many times that when the Zakanim returned to the second Beis Hamikdash, when they saw it was built, they were crying. So it's possible that Daniel continued fasting for 3 years, even when the second Beis Hamikdash was built. Okay? Now, he's pointing out that the Metzudah says that these 3 weeks are not 3 weeks of years, but 3 weeks of days. Gimel Shvuya Shel Yamim, Ve'im Chaf Aleph Yom, 21 days. You can't help but think that the 3 weeks that Daniel were fasting were the 3 weeks. In fact, in the next pasuk he says, Lechem chamudos lo yachalti. Desirable bread I didn't eat. What's desirable bread? White bread. He had to eat whole wheat bread, Nebuch. The poor guy, his wife made him eat whole wheat bread. Who wants to eat whole wheat bread? It doesn't taste good. So Daniel said for 3 weeks, that's because you're used to it already. You could get used to anything. You can even get used to whole wheat bread. But white bread was considered more of a delicacy. Right? So Daniel said for 3 weeks, I didn't eat white bread. Ubasar, I didn't eat meat. V'yayin and wine, like ba'al pi. I didn't put into my mouth. V'soich lo sachti. I did not anoint myself. Ad melois shloishes shavuim yamim. Until the 3 weeks of years, the 21 years were up, or the 21 days. So Daniel's fasting for a very long time. Now, Daniel already had experience with this. Because remember in the beginning of the Sefer, what do you think Daniel did when he was, a Saris, Beveis HaMelech? What did he eat? Seeds. So he already learned to subsist on a vegetarian diet. So Daniel said, for 21 years I didn't eat meat, I didn't drink wine, I didn't put on moisturizer, I didn't put on any creams. Soap?
What about the mitzvahs of Achila? Matzah, Mara.
Well, matzah and mara are not prophets.
Matzah and Mara. For 21 years.
This is assuming that you translate days for years.
Didn't eat white bread.
Matzah is not white bread.
It could be whole wheat also.
You can have whole wheat matzah.
So Daniel is saying he didn't eat for 21 years. Now, does that mean to the exclusion of Yom? What?
What about Yayin?
It doesn't include Shabbos.
Doesn't mean he didn't eat mamish every single day. For 21 years he didn't eat. Once a year it could be he ate.
Because you're assuming here that the days are representing years.
You can't say that.
Right?
No, we're saying that it means that's what Rashi says. It means years.
Everybody else disagrees with Rashi.
No, most agree with Rashi. I mean, the Metzudah says his days. But the consensus...
This book here does a reference to what it...
That's my Shabbos.
Because it tells you to look at Bereshit 41.
Yeah.
1. Deuteronomy 21:13.
Okay, the simple pshat is that it's referring to the 21 years. Rabbi says the next pasuk.
What year?
And the 24th day of the first month.
What year?
I was standing by the great river. What's the great river? Hu Chidakel. That is the Tigris River, the great mighty Tigris. So Daniel is saying on the 24th day of the first month.
You see, here it says Euphrates.
No, that's wrong. No, it doesn't know what it's talking about.
Which one is this for? Which one?
What? It says the Euphrates?
The Medrash says Euphrates.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. You're not reading it correctly.
The Medrash, Bereshit.
No.
Turns out the Euphrates is called the Great River. However,
Yeah.
Dekel is here
Thank you.
called
The pasuk says it's talking about the Chideka.
Read everything before you say something.
No, where does it say Euphrates?
Right there in the front. It comes in English.
Where?
Medrash.
Look at
God's
4 o'clock.
No, it usually refers to Euphrates, but in this case it's not referring to... Yeah, exactly. No, exactly not. It's saying usually it means Euphrates, but here it doesn't mean the Euphrates, right? In other words, Chidekel, right there, Nahar Pras is Euphrates. Nahar Chidekel is the Tigris. Now usually, what you're quoting, is that usually Nahar HaGadol is referring to the Euphrates. So why over here is Nahar HaGadol referring to the Tigris? The answer is because this is coming in contrast to the last time Daniel had a vision. And the last time he had a vision, he was sitting in what river? The Ulai River. The Ulai River is like a little stream. So compared to the Ulai River, the Tigris is a great river. But normally the term Nahar Gadol is reserved for the Euphrates River. Now here's the problem, and this is what you meant to ask before. That according to the opinion that Daniel fasted 21 days, and according to this pasuk, the fasting ended on the 24th day of the first month, which is the month of Nisan. That means the fast began on the 3rd day of Nisan. That would seem to indicate that Daniel fasted on Pesach. So that's the question is, how was he able to fast on Pesach? So Purim was al pi Ruach HaKodesh. Do we find here that Daniel fasted al pi Ruach HaKodesh?
Well,
So you could say it means except for Pesach.
Pesach, the main thing is at night, the main eating.
Okay, so you say he only fasted during the day. But here it says he didn't eat meat and he didn't drink wine. Uviyom Esrim Yabal HaChodesh Harishon on the 24th day of the month. Ba'ani ha'yisi ayad anor ha'gadol hichideka. I'm standing by the river, right? The Mechilta says even when the Rebbeinu Shalom appears to Klal Yisrael in the Galus, he only appears b'makom tahar, in a pure place like on a river. Va'asa seinai, I raised my eyes, va'ira, and I saw v'hinei ish echad, there was a man. Who is this man normally? Who's the ish?
Gabriel.
Lavush badim. He's wearing what? Linen. Umasnav chagurim. His loins are girded. Bechesem ufaz. With fine pearls, with fine jewels. Kesem upaz. Says Rashi, a belt with a collection of diamonds and gold and precious stones. Ugviyasai kisarshish. His body was like the precious stone sarshish. Sarshish is what? What color is it? Bluish. Now Chazal say in Masechta Chulin that his body was like Tarshish. His body was 2,000 parsa, like the Sea of Tarshish, which is the African Sea. So imagine if 2,000 now a parsa is 4 mil. So 2,000 parsa is 8,000 mil.
nice size for him.
8,000 miles. That's a good size, right?
Yeah.
That's a good size.
Half the world.
Wasn't Yonah running away to Tarshish?
He was running to Tarsha, yeah.
You're saying this is somewhere in Africa?
Rashi says there's a sea. The African sea is called the Tarshish.
Oh, Yonah ran to Parsha. That's
was the other way, it was north.
somewhere in Iraq. Or
He was going north.
Mediterranean.
He was going north.
it was on the Mediterranean.
Okay, this is Africa. Next time you go there, ask them to show you the Tarshish Sea. Okay. Upanav Kamari Barak. His face was like the appearance of lightning. V'einov kilapide yesh. His eyes were like torches of fire. Uzrayosav umargelosav. His arms and his legs ke'ein nechoshes kolal.
Polished.
Like burnished
Brass.
copper. V'kol devarav k'kol hamayim. And the sound of his voice was like the sound of the multitudes. In other words, when you hear, let's say, one person talk, you could hear him down the block. When you hear 100 people scream, you could hear him a mile away. You pass by Yankee Stadium, you could hear for miles a cheer. So this Malach, this is a frightening image. Why? Because he is girded with kesem ufaz. His body is like sarshish. His face is like lightning. His eyes are like torches. His arms and his legs are like burnished copper. His voice is loud. Says Daniel, "V'ra'isi ani Daniel levadi es hamara." Only I, Daniel, saw the vision. V'ha'anoshim asher hayu imi, and the men who were with me, lo yira'u es hamara. They didn't see the vision. Aval, however, charada gedola nafla aleim, a great fear overcame them. Vayivrachu behechave, and they ran away in hiding. So Daniel is saying, I saw the vision, and the people who were with me did not see the vision. Who were the people with him?
Why did they run away? They didn't see anything.
Who were the people with Daniel? Says the Gemara Megillah on Daf Gimel. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So Mr. Sherman's asking, if they didn't see the vision, what were they scared of? Says the Gemara, Yihu leichazeh, but mazlei chazeh. They didn't see it, but their mazel saw it. And the Gemara says, you see from here, that if a person has anxiety and is scared, and they don't even know why, it's because the mazel sees something's coming. That's what the Gemara says. Now, the Gemara makes a very interesting comment on this pasuk. Says the Gemara, you know what you learn from here? You learn from here that Daniel was not a Navi. How do you see from here Daniel was not a Navi?
Because if he were a Navi, then it wouldn't have stopped.
Because if he was a Navi, why do you have to say that he saw? Of course he saw. Says the Gemara Megillah Daf Gimel. V'ra'isi ani Daniel levado es hamara v'anoshim asher hayu imi lo yira'u es hamara. Aval charadu g'dol nafla aleim v'yivruchu be'echave man ninu anoshim. Who are these people? Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah v'yitem Rabbi Chia bar Abba Zechagai Zechariah u'Malachi. Excuse me.
They wouldn't have taken it.
Chagai Zechariah Malachi, not Hanani Mishael Azariah. Okay, correction. Chagai Zechariah Malachi were with him. Says the Gemara. Iyu adaf minayu di'u. He's better than them. Daniel was better than Chagai Zechariah Malachi. Why? Di'u chazav and olai chazu. Daniel was able to see this vision, and they were not. Says the Gemara, V'chimi achar. Says the Gemara, V'iyu adif minayu. He was better than them that he saw the vision. But inu adifi minei, they were better than him. De inhu nevi v'iyu lav navi. Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi were Nevi'im. Daniel was not a Navi. Says the Gemara, so if they couldn't see it, why were they afraid? Af al gav de inu loy chazu, mazlayu chazu. Amaravina shma mina, haiman de mibayis, someone who's afraid. Af al gav de iu loy chazi, even though he doesn't see. Mazlay chaze, his mazel, his soul, recognizes that something's doing. Right? Because Rabbi, if I were to ask you, I can take a poll now. Okay? Let's see if anyone gets the right answer. Where is the neshama located?
What?
The neshama.
Over the head.
Over the head.
In
No?
the brain.
In the brain.
Hey, only one answer per man.
Over the head, in the brain. Any other possibilities? That means everyone agrees with him, yeah?
In the heart.
We had a shiur about this.
In the heart.
We had a shiur about this.
We had a shiur about this.
The neshama is over the head.
Over the head, in the heart,
That's
in the
why
brain.
it says,
Any other option? Any other possibilities? So, right? Going once, that means if nobody says anything, we agree with
So.
Reb Zelig.
So,
Yeah, we agree? The dam, in the blood. So in the blood, the brain, the heart, over the head.
I don't know.
Good answer. Good answer. That's the right answer. That's the true answer. You could learn your whole life, and you never know. You never learn where the neshama is. The answer is the neshama is primarily not located anywhere near your body.
you say in the morning.
So when you say
Like this.
So what is the
neshama is tachas kisei hakavod right now as we speak. Your neshama, and it trickles down, 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 down into this world through the olam ha'atzilos, through the olam ha'briya, through the olam ha'yitzira, through the olam ha'asiyah, and the bottom part of the neshama is in your body.
Let me ask you,
For example, to give an analogy, the part of the neshama that's in your body is like when you stick your foot in your shoe. Do you live in your shoe? Only the little old lady lives in her shoe. But most human beings don't live in their shoe. Their foot is in their shoe. The same now, is the foot the most important part of the body? The foot is the bottom part of the body. It's the part that's sweaty, smelly, it has athlete's foot sometimes. The foot is not the most important part of the body. It's the bottom part of the body. The neshama that's in the body is the bottom part of the neshama. The majority of the neshama goes up to shamayim. Now the neshama in shamayim, it sees what's going on. And sometimes it senses something. And sometimes you could get, you get a transmitted message. You feel something, you don't know exactly what it is. That's because even though says this, so you want to know, where did I get this from? Where do you get this from? The neshama, it's a pasuk in Chumash. Yaakov Avinu had a dream. V'hinei sulam mutzav arza. The ladder was toward the ground. Right? Arza means liharetz, to the ground. That refers to the neshama. The neshama starts up in shamayim and it goes arza. To the rung by rung. What
does that mean? The sheep, call the shima the sheep.
Every breath.
Every breath.
Every breath.
That the breath is the neshama of a person.
Yeah, but if you want to know, the ikar location of the neshama is tachas kisei hakavod. Okay, so that's what the Gemara means. Now, the problem is that Rashi Masechet Megillah on Daf Gimel, Rashi says, what does it mean? Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi were Nevi'im and Daniel wasn't a Navi? Says Rashi, Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi said nevuah for Klal Yisrael through the shlichus of Hashem. But Daniel was never sent on a mission to say nevuah. So Rashi seems to be saying Daniel was a Navi, he just wasn't
Elected to be a Navi.
He wasn't given any specific mission to give over the prophecy. So that implies that Rashi holds Daniel was a Navi, it's just he didn't have a specific task of giving forth nevuah. However, Rashi in Masechet Megillah on Daf Yud Daled, when Rashi lists the 48 Nevi'im, he brings down from the Seder Olam, from the Hilchos Kedosh, 48 Nevi'im, says Rashi, take Daniel off the list, because Daniel was no Navi. So the Shagas Aryeh points out that Rashi on Daf Yud Daled retracted from what he said on Daf Gimel, and Rashi's conclusion is Daniel was not a Navi. Daniel was not a Navi. So Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi were Nevi'im. But, for whatever reason, God did not select them to see this vision. So where did they go? Where did they run? They ran away. Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi ran away.
What exactly is a Navi?
Exactly?
Yeah.
If I meet one, I'll tell you.
A Navi is someone who God communicates with directly. But when they get their communication, they lose all their faculties. They can't stand up. it's not 100% clear, and they fall flat on their face, and they lose control of their bodily functions. That was the process of Nevuah.
That was by Bilam.
That is even by regular Nevi'im, except for Moshe Rabbeinu. The Rambam says there were 4 differences between Nevi'im and Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu was able to get whenever he wanted. A regular Navi, Hashem came to him when Hashem decided, and the Navi at that point lost the control of his bodily functions. Look in Pasuk Ches. V'ani nesharti levadi, says Daniel, I remained alone. V'eres hamara hagdola hazois, I saw this great vision. V'loi nishar bi koyach, no strength remained in me. Like we learned that when someone gets nevuah, he loses his strength. Right? So even on this level that Daniel was getting, he lost his koyach. V'hoidi nepach alay lamashchis, my countenance turned to a mashchis, to a destructive appearance. I could not retain my strength. Va'eshma kol devarav, I heard the sound of his voice, of this angel. Ucheshami is kol devarav, when I heard the sound of his word. Va'ani hoyisi nirdam, I fell asleep. Al panai, on my face. Upanai arza, with my face to the ground. Vihine yad nogabi, a hand touched. So where's Daniel right now? He fell on his face, flat to the ground. He lost all strength. However, v'hinei yad nogabi, a hand touched me. V'atinieni al berkai, it moved me back onto my knees. V'chapos yadi, and the palms of my hand. In other words, Daniel had fallen flat on the ground, flat on his face, and the Malach touched him, and Daniel was able to get up onto his knees and on his palms.
The Malach disappeared though. The 3 of them ran away.
They disappeared. The Malach is still there. So the Malach touches Daniel. Daniel regains some strength. Beforehand he had fallen flat on his face. Now he's on his knees and on his hands. Vayomer Elai, the Malach says to me, Daniel ish chamudais, Daniel, the man, the beloved man, Havein badvarim, understand the words Asher Anochi Dover Alecha, that I'm speaking to you. Va'amoid alamdecha, stand in your position. Ki ata shulachti elecha, because now I've been sent to you. I've been sent to you now from Hashem. Uvedabra yimi, and when he spoke to me, Asadavar Azeh, Amadati marid, I stood shaking. So even though Daniel regained some of his composure, but he still was very scared. Vayomer Elai, and he said to me, Al tira Daniel, don't be afraid, Daniel. Kimin hayoim harishain, because from the very first day, Asher nasata es libcha, that you placed to your heart, lahavin, to understand, ulesanois, and to fast, lifnei alaikecha, before God, nishmu dvarecha, your words were already listened to. The ani basi bidvarecha, and I have come because of your words. I have come on this mission because of your words. The Gemara in Yuma says that the Malach says that formerly this angel had been chased out from behind the pargod, from behind the partition. And because of Daniel's prayers, this angel was allowed back into the partition of the Ribbon Shalom. What did he do wrong?
Yeah.
What daf is it in the Gemara in Yuma? I think he was Meilat Tzra in Klal Yisrael. And because of Daniel's prayers, this Malach was allowed readmission.
Yeah, we said before when it talks about the Ish, it's usually what's the name?
Gabriel.
So is that what we're talking about, Gabriel?
That's my presumption, even though I did not see anywhere or anyone say that this is specifically referring to Gabriel. Now we found often in Daniel that Gabriel is the Malach that comes to Daniel. But I didn't see any of the Mefarshim say specifically who this Malach is.
The 3 Malachim that were always made at Shiur on the Jews, Gabriel, Michael, Gabriel, and Chamiel.
Now normally Michael is the Malach of Rachamim, and he is the one who's usually Meilat Tov. Now, they're very interesting. This pasuk says
Uriel is another one.
Ariel.
Uriel, it's in you say at night.
Mimini Mechol, Gibsmani Gavriel.
That's one.
Ariel.
That's on Yiddish now.
Mechoim.
Is there Gemara Tainus here?
I'm sure.
Regular maybe, not the article.
I don't see regular.
Right in the back there, behind you? No, going the other way. There's another set all the way to the right. Go. Oh, go.
More.
Right, go to the
No,
right.
I don't. Those Gemaras don't have the. Yeah.
What?
They have a different source than that.
Oh. Okay.
What's that?
We'll try it. The Gemara says in the Sefer Tainus like this: there was a story where there was a famine, and one of the Amorim said, "Let's fast, and let's just accept upon ourselves to fast, because as soon as we accept upon ourselves to fast,
The fast will go away.
Hashem will be makabel our desire." And they said, "Where'd you get this from?" So we get it from this pasuk. Right, it's in Daf Ches. It should be.
Shulem Aleichem.
Just woke up or something?
Says the Gemara, Bimei Reb Zera, in the days of Reb Zera, Gazer Gezerah, they made a decree. For Gazer, Delay Lamesav B'Tanisa. And they also made a decree. Not only are they gonna bring tragic repercussions, they made a decree not to fast. So Reb Zera said, "No problem. Let's accept upon ourselves to fast. And when the Gezerah is over, we'll fast." So they said, "Where'd you get this from?" So they said, because this pasuk says, "Vayomer Elai al tiro Daniel ki min hayom harishon asher nasata libcha lahachin olasanis lefanai elokecha nishmu dvarecha." So we learn from here that as soon as a person accepts upon himself to fast, it's already niskabel min hashamayim. Pasuk continues.
Rabbi Barganel sings Gabriel.
Where?
They say it, they bring proof from Bereshit.
Dasaina by Yosef. Okay. Pasuk Yud Gimel. V'sar Malchus Paras Oimei Lenegdi. So the Malach Gabriel says that he was being faced by the officer of Persia, who stood opposite me, Esrim Yechad Yom, for the 21 days or the 21 years. In other words, Gabriel was doing battle with the Sarai Shal Paras. Right? You ever see the angel of Persia? Yeah. The angel of Persia, he's a mighty angel. And Gabriel had to battle him for 21 years. V'hinei Michael Achad Hasaram Harishonim Ba'al La'azreini. Gabriel said, I couldn't prevail until Michael, one of the chief officers, one of the chief ministers, came to help me. V'ani noisarti sham, and I was left there. Eitzel Mache Paras, by the kings of Paras. So, says Rashi, in the Shamayim, Oimed lenegdi nilcham imadi barakia, kishashal arach malchus lefaras l'shabed eschem. When Arach, the angel of Paras, wanted to enslave you, it was 21 days I was battling him in the heavens. And Michael, the chief Malach, the chief Sar, came, and I was left there to try to silence the Sar of Paras. Uvasi, and I've come lahavincha, to make known to you.
To silence what?
To silence the Persian minister in heaven. Uvasi lahavincha, I came to give you understanding. Eis asher yikra la'amcha, what will happen to your people, bi'achris hayomim, at the end of days. In other words, the Malach Gabriel is telling Daniel, I have come to give you understanding what will happen to you in the end of days. Ki oid chazain liyamim.
Isn't that what?
There is yet to be a vision for the days.
Isn't that chazar meaning of
Vision.
vision? Nevuah?
Chazain, another vision, like
Chazar Yeshayahu.
Chazain, yes.
It is a certain vision.
Look, what Daniel is getting is not something me and you get. It's not, it's not a stam dream, but it's still not on the level of Nevuah.
Yeah.
But what does it mean?
Yaakov was not given permission
Yeah.
to tell what's going to happen at the end of the day. It was taken away from him.
Uh-huh.
So they let
There were two people who knew when Mashiach were coming, and they tried to reveal it, and they didn't reveal it. Yaakov and Daniel. Right? So what does it mean, Ki oid chazan liyamim? Says Rashi. Ki oid chazan, there's yet to be a vision, lahagid lecha, to tell you, ma shaloi hugadlach, what has not been told to you yet. V'yava yoid liyamim, that will yet come. V'yamim harabim, in many days, hanasunim l'mayed, which is set for an appointed time. Uvidabra yimai, Daniel said when he spoke with me, kadvarim ha'ela, nasati panei arsa, I placed my face to the ground, v'nei halamti, and I was silent. V'hinei kidmus b'nei adam, and behold, like the image of a man, noigei al svasai, touched my lips. V'eftach pi, and I opened my mouth. V'adabra, and I spoke. V'oimra, and I said, Elohim lenegdi, to the one standing opposite me. Adoini, my master. Ba'amara, in the vision, nev chutzirai olai. My joints were turned over. It felt like my joints were dislocated. V'lo yatzarti kayach, I could not restrain my power. V'hechyuchal eved adoini zeh, Daniel says about himself, how is it possible for the servant of this master ledaber im adoini zeh, to speak with this master? In other words, how can I speak to you? Ba'ani, and I, me'ata, from now, lo yamid bi kayach, I have no strength, u'neshama lo nesharav bi, I have no soul left in me. It seems like every time the Malach touches Daniel, Daniel is given like an injection of kayach. Vayosef, he again, vayigabi, he touched me, kamare yadam, like the image of a man, vayichazakeni, he strengthened me. Vayomer, and he said, al tiro ish chamudos, my beloved man, don't be afraid, shalom lach, peace unto you, chazak v'chazak, be strong. Uvedabra yimi, when he spoke to me, his chazakti, I strengthened myself. Va'omer, and I said, Yedaber Adoni, speak my master, ki chizaktoni, you strengthened me. Va'yomer, and he said, Hayadata, do you know lama basi elecha, why I came to you? Do you know why I came to you? In other words, I came to tell you what happened, but v'yata oshuv, now I'm going to return, lihilachim im paras, to wage war with the angel of Persia. But says Rashi, to the angel of Persia, I know I could defeat him. But when the Greeks come, I know I have to leave, and the minister of Greece is going to come and enter after 34 years of the Binyan Bayis, and he's going to put into place Alexander, because what the Malach was saying is like this, that the kings of Persia were benevolent to Klal Yisrael, and they didn't place a hard burden on Klal Yisrael. But the kings of Greece put on Klal Yisrael an oil kasha. So the Malach says, right now I'm going to go finish doing battle with Persia, the Sar of Paras, and I'll be able to prevail. But then I'm going to have to leave. Ani yotze, then I will leave. Hine Sar Yavan ba. Then the minister of Yavan will come. And him, he's a tough guy. Aval agid lecha. But let me tell you, as Harashim, what is written, b'chsav emes, with true writing. V'yein echad mischazek imi. Alela. And there is no one to help me, the Malach Gabriel says, with these Malachim. None of these Sarim Elyonim could help me. Ki im Michael Sachem, except for Michael, your prince. Michael is considered the Malach of Klal Yisrael. Now, not in the sense like all the Umay Sa'olim are guided, they're under the dominion of their Sar. We are Chelek Hashem. But nevertheless, Hashem has appointed Michael to be the chief angel and protector of Klal Yisrael. He's the Sanegar Shal Yisrael. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.